Hey guys, so it's Brazen again, and I have a pretty interesting topic for today's video, and that is regarding World of Tanks pro scene. So I just recently started watching sort of the pro scene of World of Tanks, which hasn't really gotten off the ground like I feel like it should be able to, given the quality of the game. And I was thinking about why that is, and I was thinking about actually how the game is played. I don't know about any. I don't really know. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I do not know the details of many teams or really what's going on in that scene too deeply, but just watching some of the games, I could already tell. I feel like there's a problem with how the game is structured, and this is what I mean specifically. Currently, people just pick whatever tanks they want. There's like sort of a meta or like a schema for how what the different roles are, but I feel like it's lacking a very necessary component which would add a great deal of interest to the game overall, and that is having tank drafts. I think tank drafting will take the pro scene sort of to the next level, because the problem with there being a natural, like imbalance in the game to some degree means that it's easy to exploit something that is like particularly strong at a given time. So like what I've been noticing as of recently when this video is coming out is the mouse is like the newly buffed mouse has sort of taken over the game, and it's really good. It's really good for fighting in close quarters, so it's really hard to pen. And so people are bringing out like four mouse on their team, and it's becoming like mouses on mouse action. And that really sucks for the overall quality of the game, because while it may be like the best thing to do, it, um, you know, there's, it's sort of cheesy, and I don't think people really want to watch that sort of action. So some would say that that problem has to be resolved internally, that the game has to somehow change in order for there to be a better balance so that doesn't happen. But I completely disagree. I think there's a very simple solution, and that is tank drafting. So what I mean specifically is only people choose tanks, each side picks alternatively which tanks they want, and that once a tank is picked, that gets out of the draft, and nobody can pick another model. That no one can pick another of the same model on their team, or just in the game in general. And so I made sort of a faux example of how this would go. Let me pull out my list here in order to sort of illustrate better how a game I feel like should be played. Take the map Arctic region, for example. Let's say there's the team that starts on the south, Team X, and then the team that starts on the north, Team Y. And let's say Team South, Team X, gets the first pick. So let's say the mouse is the best tank. Let's just take that as a hypothetical. The strategy here being you'd use the mouse to go to the southern corner and try to just brawl in that sort of general area, right, on Arctic region. And yeah, that's what they would pick up the mouse, right? And so a counter pick, or maybe Team Y's strategy develops in this sense that, okay, they have the mouse, so we're gonna have to pick away another strong heavy tank in order to contend for that flank. And maybe I would say something coming from trying to maybe play those hills, picking up like a Kronvon would maybe be a decent option in that case. I'm not an expert on what the best picks are, so these are just my ideas kind of in a rough draft form. So and then the pick would then switch back to Team X, and I was thinking at that point they would go, maybe just do something super cheesy. I mean, you already have the mouse, so get another big German in there, get an E100. And for Team Y, then to counter, to reply to a mouse in E100 front line, maybe they'd pick up the Kronvon and then an AMX 50B as their second pick and have a couple of auto loaders to contest that flank, making it hard for the mouse in E100 to really push. And if it goes back to X, and this is, by the way, presuming a 10v10. I don't know if people play 15v15 or what's up in pros, or they play 10v10, but I just made a list considering a 10v10. Just made it easier, didn't want to go through more tanks than that. And so Team X then, okay, so maybe they have already kind of a strong front line for that south side flank, and so they need something to start off their more north campaign up there. And so they would pick something up like a Batchat, getting an autoloader of their own to scout the battlefield and such. And then it would go back to Y, and I figured, playing something like a T62A would be a decent choice there. If you could probably get hulled down in some of those areas in the pits on the northern side, so that sounds good. And then maybe at that point, the tank destroyers would come in, and something like I figured something like the Object 263 would be solid for the X team to have sort of another sort of bully tank destroyer with good frontal armor. And then maybe Y replies with something like an E4, getting that fully turreted one. And at this point, I had in this theoretical situation that the X team would then pick up the artillery of their choice, and maybe they would go with the Batchat as well for that high sort of quick damage, quick succession damage, and sort of beat down. Also, by the way, guys, this is not factoring in light tanks in the current state, because I know tier 10 light tanks at the time of this video have not come out yet, so I don't have any light tanks at the moment, but obviously things would change if light tanks were to be introduced, the tier 10 light tanks. But yeah, and then if they got priority on the arty, then I figured Team Y would then presumably in a 10v10 there would only be one arty per side, so Y could then pass up their arty pick and go for something else, knowing that they had already taken priority arty away. And so they would maybe get something like a T57 heavy or FV215B 183 and have really strong back end for that flank with that kind of lineup, really maybe negating the heavy mouse and E100 push potential. And then it would go back to X on, maybe they pick up something like an STB1 to try to play the hills over on the flank. And for the Y, they maybe pick up a 140 to support the T62 on the flank and really try to, if they can't really win the south, maybe it would be too hard, then with that kind of combination they could have a good go at the northern side against the Batchat and the STB1, and so on. Okay, I think that's enough to sort of illustrate the idea behind draft picking tanks and how that would add a new layer to the game and really add interest to it. Alright guys, tell me what you think in the comments. See you later, bye.